Welcome to Athens City Council. This evening we will be meeting in council committees. The meeting will be called to order by the City Council President, who will then pass discussion over to a respective committee. The chair of the committee will introduce the discussion topics and provide an overview of the issues at hand. If needed, members of the administration will offer brief statements to provide further context. We will then welcome input from the community. Any citizens who wish to speak will be asked to state their name and address, both verbally and on the sign and sheet located at the podium. Individuals will be given one opportunity to share their thoughts, and the committee chair will have the authority to limit each speaker to 3 minutes. Once all citizens have had the opportunity to speak within the 15-minute time period allotted for total public participation on each topic, the public comment portion will be closed. Council committee members will then continue their deliberations. There may be additional questions directed to the administration during this time. When the discussion on the topic concludes, the chair will indicate whether legislation will be introduced at the next regular session of council and move on to the next item on the agenda or adjourn the committee if their work is complete. The next committee chair will then call their committee to order, proceeding in the same manner as before. Once all committees have adjourned, City Council will conclude for the evening.
Good evening. It's 7:03 p.m. Monday evening, November the 24th, 2025. This is a combined session of City Council. Tonight we are going to have committees. We are going to have a special session at the end, and then we'll adjourn. First on our agenda, we'll move right into committees, will be the Committee of the Whole, Disabilities Commission 2025 Year-End Report. I'll turn it over to my colleague, Michael.
Thank you very much, President Pro Tem Reisner. I am Micah McCary, and I'm City Council's liaison to our Commission on Disabilities, and we're very pleased to have them here to give their annual report this evening. From the Commission, we have Michelle Hahn, we have Davey McNally, our chair, and we have Dr. Carolyn Lewis, and Dr. Diane Bouvier, and Dr. Allie Hughes with us this evening, and we appreciate their time. We'll turn it over to you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Great. So my name is Davey McNally. I work for the Southeastern Ohio Center for Independent Living, and I'm also the chair of the Commission on Disabilities currently, and am soon to term off the commission. We want to, as we do every year, take time to give a year-end review to show you what our work has been, what our accomplishments have been, what we have as requests, and also opportunities from the city as well.
I think I know. They're there. Go for it.
Okay, great. Yeah, we have 10 current members, 10 members who have served this year as full commission members. We have meetings, monthly meetings at 5:30 every Wednesday, which is the third Wednesday of the month at the community center. We also have committee meetings, which meet monthly as well. Our committees are accessibility and advocacy, outreach and communications, and then also our executive team here. And thank you, Diane, for scrolling.
Sorry, it's like, oh yeah, I have to do something.
So my name is Davey. I'm the chair. We have Dr. Diane Bouvier, Dr. Allie Hughes, and Dr. Carolyn Lewis. We also have Michelle in the audience here, Michelle Hahn. And Rob Delac.
That's good.
Oh, Delac, okay. Serves on our Accessibility and Advocacy Council Committee as well. Here are our powers and duties, what we have in our bylaws and what we read before every meeting. Just basically to act as a liaison between members of the community and local government, and you can read all the rest of that too. Keep scrolling.
So this year we have many highlights that we'd like to talk about. I'm going to just talk about a couple of them because some of them will also be talked about in the committees. Each committee, Carolyn will talk about the communications, Outreach and Communication Committee, and Ally will talk about the Advocacy, Accessibility and Advocacy Committee. We were really excited this year to hear that the city had funds to help fix a lot of, or even put in place a lot of the sidewalk curb ramps. So that was a huge project that was citywide. It took all summer, probably longer than that. We did meet with them at the beginning because we were a little concerned because we didn't know what phase 2 would be, because we want to make sure there's also adjoining sidewalks to some of the curb ramps or sidewalks that need to be fixed. Because as you know, with accessibility, it only works if the whole continuum is accessible. So we did mention that, and but it does seem like they did a really great job. I'm sure that phase 2 will happen. And the other project that we joined forces with the Pedestrian Accessibility and Bicycle Task Force to review the West Union project that was done this year. And as far as accessibility goes, they did an amazing job. And one of my favorite features is that all the driveways that were usually like sunk down are now level with the sidewalk. So there's less, when you're biking, there's less going like this. If you're in a wheelchair, there's less going like this. Even when you're walking, it's less up and down. So they did a great job. We did note a couple of things. One is that it's still a little confusing around Siemens, like if you're driving or if you're walking, because it's not that clear what the paths are. So probably some kind of like paint around the curb ramps would be helpful, or just something to make even the arrows showing where do you go in and go out. It's not always clear. But overall, we were really excited. We thought that was a great project. We appreciate that. Other highlights, we had our 11th Annual Athena Award, and Carolyn will talk about that soon. We have, a few years ago, Ally worked on building an accessibility matrix where we could track issues that we found, share it with the city, kind of track responses to make sure there was progress on them. So we met with the city and shared that. And the other item we've been working on is Sunday Creek Horizons, I know, is working on the ADA transition plan. They had a lot of work to do this year for the city. And they did notify us the end of the year that they're starting on the ADA transition plan. So we've been meeting with them mostly to talk about resources and what's required under the ADA. And also just to give them guidance a little bit about how Athens works, about the accessibility in Athens.
So more about the Accessibility and Advocacy Committee. We meet on the second Friday at noon downstairs in the Berry Conference Room. It's welcome to all to attend, and it's really where we see a mix of folks that are coming from the perspective of that lived experience of living with a disability, or maybe having a family member with a disability, but we also have folks that are just really passionate about Athens and improving Athens. And so we have a really strong group there. So I am co-chair, and Lisa Simpson is also co-chair. She's been fantastic this year with leadership. And we have several events that we do every year. As we all probably know by now, the Walk, Talk, and Roll is one of our favorite events. We go through Uptown Athens, and we highlight the improvements, but we also have like the ongoing issues that may develop from weather or anything that might be going on. And we have a video in just a second that we'll show you as well regarding our challenge. But we had hundreds of attendees this year, and that's folks coming by and not only engaging with us, but just also discussing with the viewpoint of seeing us, trying to cross with these, broken bricks or whatever it might be, but also folks that actually tried to cross themselves and gave feedback about what that was like. So we also collaborated with EPW about Uptown and the Union Street projects. So at this point, do we want to go ahead and play our video?
Sure.
All right. Street here. It's at, it's right here at Washington and Court, and not Washington.
Court and State.
Court and State, thank you. And
He gave up, as you can see.
thank you. As you can see, he gave up. But we have several videos like that. At this point, no one made it across, and so it was a very difficult challenge.
And sorry to interrupt, Ally, but here on City Council attempted to cross Court Street using a wheelchair. Did you make it? Were you close to making it? No.
And it's also important to remember where that is also on State. Thinking about that intersection is that's also around Passion Works and also Casa Nueva and these places where folks need to be able to cross. And so it's important to think about what that intersection is like and why folks are using that intersection. So this is just more pictures of the events that we have had over the past year. So a huge thanks to all the folks who've been involved in the Stroud's Run success of a more accessible beach access for folks who are using wheelchairs. And we also have, the update of Uptown continues to be out of ADA compliance. So part of that is the spoiler alert of the Court Street Challenge video, but I think it's still important to think back to that video, and for those folks that were able to, try that challenge, think about that difficulty and what it was like and how many folks are experiencing that on the daily to try to cross there.
I'm Carolyn Lewis, and I serve on the Outreach and Communications Committee with Michelle Hahn and Debbie Burley, and they do a great job in guiding the committee. We sponsored the 11th Annual Athena Award Ceremony. We had 3 excellent nominations, and we had coverage from the City Channel, Athens Messenger, and others, and we had 80 attendees this year. And Adrian Nagy, physical therapist who uses really innovative ways to help youth and families with their physical therapy, and she was the recipient this year. We also had excellent, the other nominees were Jovia and Salem Miller, who were the spark behind the Stroud's Run project, accessibility project, and Becky Eddy, who is responsible for establishing vital housing for the unhoused in Athens. So we had excellent coverage of the Walk, Talk, and Roll, and was well covered by the news and media outlets, as Ally said. So here's some of the photos from the Athena Award. There's Diane, there's Anna Corby and her son, and of course Michelle's there, smiling, and you can see in Ally in the picture of some of the attendees who were there. Davey mentioned our executive team. He will be rolling off, and if you notice, he wrote in here not a doctor but we're going to make him honorary doctor.
That's good. That's a good idea.
And Vice Chair Diane, Secretary Ally. I told Ally she better kind of button up Buttercup because she's going to be doing this next year, she and Michelle. And because I'm rolling off the committee too, the commission too, and I've been the treasurer.
We are a real working commission, and we're always looking for more people to help, either to learn about what we do, to spread the word about what we do, to get involved in the committee work or the commission. Everything we do is open to the public. So that's mainly come join us. We really do value different voices at the table, and everyone we know has a different perspective of either being familiar with disabilities themselves or having somebody in their family or a friend or neighbor, like you mentioned, a colleague. And it takes all of us to think about how can we make improvements so that it works for the people in our community. So join us. And we have, as Davey and Carolyn mentioned, we have 4 people who are leaving commission, the Disability Commission this year. And it's really going to be a time of transition for us. We have a few stepping down or changing roles. Davey has been a stellar leader, And he's really a motivator at the helm. He listens well, he gets people doing things that need to get done. He's a solid organizer. And he continues to provide expertise and voice to issues of accessibility. Dr. Micah McCary, we are really sad that you're going to be stepping off of this commission, but we're so thrilled that now you know a lot about what we do, and that you will be a strong ally in your future role as City Council President. Yeah, and thank you. One of the things that we've really appreciated about you is that you not only help steer us in knowing how some of the murky processes work with city and city council, so that we can be better partners in collaboration with what happens with the city, but also that you just have a really solid, interested presence in making things better for people, for all people, and it's just really valued, so thank you. Dr. Carolyn Lewis. I've had the pleasure of working with Carolyn since before I retired from OU. We were both on many of the committees involved with disability and accessibility on campus, and then we worked together here. And she's one of those people that gets 100 things done without you even knowing it. She's behind the scenes getting things off to the newspapers and talking with people she knows and getting things on the radio, and I don't know how we're going to do it without you, honestly. And she has just been promoting how to make our community more accessible for a really long time. And your voice is really valued.
Thank you.
Thank you for the work you've done.
Thank you, Diane.
And she also has had 2 terms, so her term is ended. Lisa Simpson is not here, but she is retiring next year, and she's stepping down from the commission. She's also been a true leader. She co-chairs with Ally for the Accessibility and Advocacy Committee. She also has done a really important job of bringing the voice of people from Havar, so people who live with disabilities, to our table, so we can hear from people what's impacting them. And that's really important in any of the work that we do. She's also one of those behind-the-scenes people who has done tons of work around the Walk, Talk, and Roll and in just keeping the committee moving. I would like you all to join me in giving warm applause for these amazing people. Please do not be strangers. We expect to see you around. And they've become friends over the years. So this is my friend group. So I don't know what's going to happen next year, but yeah, they're really important to me. So thank you.
So just to reiterate, we really need new members coming in. So if you all can think of anyone, even if you just have an inkling that maybe they want to attend or maybe they have some thoughts or questions, we are always looking for insight from the community, and we're always wanting to serve the community. So just please keep that in mind. Even if you go home tonight and you think about somebody, then please email us, because we'd love to make sure that the commission is full and we're able to continue to get this great work done. So could you go back really quick?
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to, just a little more plug for more people. So we just wanted to also just show a picture of the noted improvements. So we have, of course, Madison and East State Street sidewalk. We have the curb cuts through the city as part of major grant, just like Diane elaborated on. We also have the painted bump out by Village Bakery, which of course is really, really important. And I'm sure we all have observed this as we have, traveled and gone to Village Bakery and seen this. But also the Union Street improvements, the sidewalks and driveways have really, really been phenomenal. So we really appreciate that being built and improved, and we're excited that the ADA transition plan has begun. So as far as requests and opportunities go, we need to have funding approved to complete a quality ADA transition plan, including consultants with ADA expertise. We really need to fix uptown. And so, as you heard earlier, we have an accessibility matrix that just had a beautiful makeover thanks to Rob. So thank you so much for clearing that up. So if you would like to access it, you can go to this tiny URL, which is a little bit easier than a long Google link, or you can also use the QR code, and you can go ahead and see what we have as far as what we have as the most important things that are going on as far as improvements that need to be made. And this is really from community feedback, from information. It's not just coming from us, but it's coming from the community. So I want to go ahead and also say, as I'm taking all the slides as I just keep going here, but I wanted to say we also need the matching fund to continue. So we want to make sure that happens, and just thinking forward what that might look like. I know that we have kind of had a preview that the commission budget will likely be less in the new year, but I mean, as you've seen, our budget is really around the Athena Award and all the things that go into that, and feeding the community and giving back. So just something to think about.
Yeah, and I just want to say this is the same picture that's been at the end of the slideshow, I think, for the last 4 years, because it hasn't changed. That's still a pothole coming off of State Street and Court Street, where if you did make it across the street on the Court Street Challenge, I mean, if you're using a manual wheelchair, there's no way to make it onto the curb ramp there. So again, Uptown is egregiously in violation of the ADA. I want to make sure everyone understands that. Does that make sense to everyone? I just want to make sure everyone gets that it's bad. I know that there was a grant that the city had, and they had put it out to bid for 4 years, Andy? 5 years? And no one got it. But again, it's up to the city to make crosswalks, especially in Uptown, accessible, because it is the heart of our city. It's where our city government is. Without that, otherwise people with disabilities can't get Uptown to vote early. They can't park. They can't enjoy life. Whenever I go Uptown, I see a large portion of our community that is inaccessible to people with disabilities, and that's not what we want. And then I think I say the thank you. Yeah. Okay, great. And thank you. It's been an honor to do this work over, I think, the last 7 or 8 years now. Along with these folks, Diane had such very nice and well thought out things to say, but again, it takes everyone, and it's been just a joy to see how every single person on the commission has had a really active role in getting things done, to drive action, because it takes all of us working together to make change. So yeah, it's been a great thing for me to do. So I really appreciate you letting me.
Member McCary?
We would like to invite any questions from council. Member Swank.
I just called up the city website, Ally, and if I'm reading this correctly, you said Lisa's going to be stepping down. You got 10 vacancies come January 1st.
Yes.
Is that true?
So we have spoken with the mayor to make sure that we have a little wiggle room as far as the vacancies go. So some members of our executive committee are continuing on for a couple months to make sure the leadership is there. And then, as I said, we are actively seeking members. We have a few that we are currently planning the onboarding. It's just hard with the holidays and everything with the timing coming up in January. But yes, we are actively.
Yeah, and some of them just completed their first 3-year term.
Yes,
So
yes.
they will be joining again for another 3 years.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, because there's 6 people, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that expire
So
New Year's Eve.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then there's 3 vacancies already.
Right.
Okay. Just want to make sure we had the numbers right, because this puts some urgency into finding people who, 1, are interested, 2 are qualified, and 3 are willing to put in the work.
And one of the first things I'm sure they'll be doing once we're all through is trying to stagger,
Right.
do a better job. of
Yes, you don't have
staggering
everybody
those,
going at
yes.
the same time. Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Okay, thank you.
Do we have any other clarifying questions from council before we check in with administration in the audience? Yes, Member Wood.
Yeah, I'm sure Andy will talk about it, but curious if there is a plan in place. obviously great work on the West Union and the work there and the other efforts, the bump out and such not. Those have been really awesome to see happen and happen quickly. A lot of them down Madison happened really quickly too. But that does beg the question: why the 4 years on the uptown problem? So yeah, it'd be great to have some clarifying information on that.
And we'll say, member, I'm sorry, Beth, member Clodfelder, and then we'll go to the administration.
Okay, sure. Well, I would just like to thank you for your excellent advocacy and leadership. I think that a lot of other people in the community benefit from the improvements you guys make happen. I know in that newly revised area at the intersection of East State Street and Madison, people without disabilities are finding it easier to cross the street, myself included. I often walk that way. So thank you very much, because your really pretty tireless advocacy and focus on these issues is helping the whole community.
And EPW did a lot of leadership with that. I know Sally spent a lot of time putting that in place. So.
Yeah, it's a really nice improvement.
And special shout out to Rob Delac right here, and to Stephanie Hunter as well, who serve on our committees.
He served long enough. We can get his name right now. It's only took 4 years.
All right, we'll move to the administration for questions or comments.
I'll just say thanks to all the members of the commission, and particularly those who are stepping off after many years in your roles. Davey, in particular, your leadership has been instrumental. I say that personally and also on behalf of the mayor. So thanks to all of you. Andy, I don't know if you have anything to add.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is I very much appreciate the work that you do, and specifically the prioritization, because as much as I would like to wave a magic wand and fix everything, and money were no problem, and contractors were no problem, and traffic and other demand of the right of way were no problem. It is, and so it's helpful to have the focus and the prioritization. I can speak to the uptown area briefly. Two things to that. Number one, while the Uptown Improvements Project, that ship sailed because it briefed it bid so many times that ODOT, pulled that funding. Ultimately, the overhead to underground project that includes the burying of the utility lines on both East and West State Street in the immediate first block, and then also Carpenter Street in the Uptown area, includes improvements to those ramps. So my hope is that at this briefing next year, that Davey can't, or whoever is chair can't use that same photo, because that'll be fixed at that particular problem. Because that state, I remember when that intersection was done in 2006. I think 2006 was when we actually, did it the first time, and it just goes to show what lots of beer trucks and tractor trailers and gas trucks will do to a ramp when they run over the side. I mean, that damage comes back. So, my hope is that that's improved. I do have a little bit of editorial comment on the project that nobody bid on, and that's those Uptown Improvements project. And it's hard to work in Uptown Athens. It's very difficult. Contractors don't want to work in Uptown Athens, and in part it's because we have a very active citizenry, and that's a great thing that we have a very active citizenry. But it's also a reason that people don't want to bother with it. And right now, there's a lot of work in Southeast Ohio, especially with the second round of the ACGP projects, to where there's more work than there is contractors. And when people look at an easy project versus a hard project, and they say, I don't know. Uptown Athens is really hard. I got to do all this work. I got to maintain access to these businesses. I got to maintain traffic. I got to maintain this. I got to maintain that. They say, it's not worth my time. I'll put my money and effort in, or my efforts, and make good money at other locations. And I think we fell victim to that on that particular project. And so that's something that I hope that in future years, as perhaps things get leaner in the contracting community and contractors get a little bit more hungry, that we might have another opportunity to come around. And so what we're going to need to do is fix some of these locations piecemeal, as opposed to a big massive project. But I do think state and court, because that's a bad one, is one that we can get with that overhead to underground project. Thanks.
Thank you to the administration. Do we have any questions or comments from members of the public who are here tonight? All right, seeing none, then President Pro Tem, that will end our presentation from our Committee on Disabilities, and we thank them one more time.
Yes.
Thank you. That concludes the Committee of the Whole. We'll next move on to Finance and Personnel. I'm just going to request that everyone just stay up here because I like you.
Sounds good. Another Reisner rule.
That's right. But we're going to have to make a slight change to the agenda. We're going to have to add an item. And I think Member Carey is more familiar with making this item as an amendment. So
Thank you.
state what it is, then we'll make an amendment to the agenda.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Reisner. I would like to move that we amend tonight's agenda for the Finance and Personnel Committee by adding discussion of the potential purchase of the Red Cross building and direct
Lands.
Sorry, lands. Sorry, not building. That would be very different. And we have Director Stone, who's happy to provide us with some information about that this evening. So I would need a second in order for us to amend.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to amend the agenda. Any discussion about amending the agenda from the committee? No? Very well. All those in favor of amending the agenda as stated signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. The agenda has been amended and we will move on. But the first item we have here is the 2025 appropriations and transfers. And I have a copy of it here as the proposed ordinance. We'll need some discussion about it. I see we have the auditor and we also have our service safety director for the administration. Which one of you would care to lead the argument?
I can speak to it, and I think we both know what we're trying to do, so.
Yeah. So this ordinance, if you recall, not too long ago, we passed a transfer from the general fund to the medical fund to cover our expenses. Once again, last week, we were getting really sky-high medical bills, and we needed this money. Then Andy came up with the idea of fairness, really, of the general fund not taking that whole load of additional medical costs, but dividing it among all the departments who have employees who benefit from the medical fund. So that's what this is. So the first thing we do is appropriate the money. So Leanna in my office went through and calculated all of this based on employees in each department on the medical plan and listed them to be appropriated in the general fund and or in their funds and then transferred as a repayment to the general fund. So once that happens, then after we appropriate it, then they are going to be transferred into the general fund. The total for that amount is $310,000, sorry. Yeah. So you can see this down here, plus this, the other appropriations at the bottom, as you can see. I guess the medical fund's the big one, but we have other appropriations that we've talked about that need to be done. We need more money for loan payment, payroll in the community center. Not sure what happened with our budget on that one, but I don't think it's necessarily that they've just spent a ton more money than usual. I think there were some calculations that weren't done right on our part. And so we needed to appropriate that much money, but the community center fund does have the money to appropriate. On the other hand, the general fund is getting lower than it's supposed to be according to our cash reserve policy and according to what would be best practices for the amount of cushion we want to keep in there. We have to have a certain amount of carryover at the beginning of next year to pay those early payrolls before next year's revenue starts coming in. So that's where we are on that. I don't know if you have any questions on any of these other ones. The elevator contract, we've talked about that. I think that's it. So we're going to transfer this back into the general fund, but we're not reappropriating it to spend. It needs to stay in there as part of our unappropriated balance or cash reserve.
Oh, I see some questions here. We'll start at the end. Member Clotchwater.
Thank you very much, Auditor Hecht. I wondered if you would be willing to let us know what amount we have in that reserve right now.
For unappropriated balances?
The cushion that we've been trying to protect.
Well, what we have, we've dropped down with a lot of this more recent activities. I think you've heard me talk about what our policy states is 7.5% to 15%. We're down to about 5.8% right now.
Wow.
We
And
just closed out October, a week or so ago.
follow up, if I may.
Yes.
With transferring this money from the other funds back into the general fund, have you calculated what that will do to the reserve percentage?
No. We'll put it in there first, and then it'll be easier to calculate.
Okay.
Member McCary.
Do you believe, Auditor Heck, that this will be a one-time solution to the rising healthcare costs that have been higher than expected this year and last, or do you believe this is something we need to think of doing annually?
Well, ideally, we don't really want to have to do this kind of thing. It's the end of the year, and we've just found out we are where we are. We are increasing the amount of money we're transferring per employee for each employee into the medical fund from their departments beginning in the new budget. So hopefully this extra money that we're putting into their budget to begin with will keep us from having to transfer more money towards the end of the year.
Thank you. Is this the first time we've used this particular solution for medical expenses?
No, I think we did this earlier this year.
Okay.
Actually. Yeah. But no, it's not something that's been common over my tenure.
Member Swank.
Just a little technical thing. We need to change that to $310,061. That's actually $2 more than what we have here. And the bottom will be $513,061 instead of $59.
Okay.
Member Wood. Did I see your hand? No? Member Solly? Administration, care to comment on this?
Yeah, so, I can't echo more than what Kathy said, but, the general fund is unrestricted. You can spend it on whatever you want to spend it on, whereas proprietary funds are not. You have to spend proprietary funds on, because you've set a fee to collect for that. And it's bad form, though, to use your general fund to subsidize your proprietary funds, right? You can, but it's bad form to do that. It's illegal to use your proprietary funds to subsidize your general fund unless you can justify it. And in this case, you absolutely can justify it because in the ordinance that passed a few weeks ago, that was an emergency to shore up the medical fund. We used all general fund money, in which case, $310,000 of was used to pay for employees that are paid out of the proprietary funds. And so what this ordinance really is rectifying that. And we would have liked to have done these calculations back then, but it was too urgent, right? The medical fund was getting too low and those bills were coming too high. So this is basically just the second half, if you could think of it in those terms, of that transfer that we did last time, which is correcting the fact that we just pulled all the money from the general fund to make the fund solvent so that they could get those bills paid.
Anyone in the audience care to comment on this? No? Going once, twice? Okay. Well, if there's no further comments on this topic,
Do we need to suspend the rules on this?
no, we're in committee. We're not voting on it yet, so.
Fair
Let's
point.
go on to our next topic, the land, but not building.
Land purchase for Red Cross. I would appreciate Director Stone giving us some context.
Thank you, and I apologize for not getting this to the clerk in advance, Tina, and they really kind of just materialized on Friday. So as you may remember, back in the beginning of the year, we passed an ordinance for the Welcome Home Ohio program. And the Welcome Home Ohio program was to receive $2 million from the State of Ohio, Ohio Department of Development, through the Athens Enhancement Fund 250 to basically run a program where we work with the developer to build housing that for a brief instant the city takes title to and then subsequently sells it to a qualified buyer that meets the income thresholds, that gets it for a subsidized amount for the cost. And then that $2 million helps extend the program. We basically turn around and pay for the cost of the house and then sell the house to the buyer for a lesser amount that they can afford and they can work towards. And the goal is to increase home ownership, owner-occupied home ownership in the city, and it really will be a great program. The key thing is land and having land available to basically make this thing go. Right now, the city's plan for the first kind of throng of this Welcome Home Ohio program is in the vicinity of the end of Hudson Street. The city right now has the Hudson building where we store equipment and some leftover things for different things around the city, and then also the police impound lot is there. The plan, as you may remember, is to, once the EPW storage facility is built on Kenny Drive in conjunction with the fire station training facility that's out there, and then the police evidence storage is out there, that we move all of the things stored at Hudson down there, and then we can raise the Hudson building and make that land available for this Welcome Home Ohio program. In order to make this thing go better, we really would like the parcel just south of that. And that parcel belongs to the American Red Cross. If you're familiar with the area, there's a small little wooden building that's on that parcel, but it's otherwise a vacant green parcel. And then we think we can fit 8 homes, and we'll have to be creative on how we split the lots and make it work. But we think we can fit 8 homes between the 2 parcels. And so what I'm asking you to consider this evening is not the purchase of this, because ultimately the purchase of this property will come by the developer, who then will build the city with that Welcome Home Ohio money. But the city has to receive the property, and the council has to agree to receive the property. And so right now, the Red Cross has agreed to a $40,000 price, which is a good price. It's what the auditor's appraised value is for that property, so we're pretty happy that they've agreed to that, and they're working with the developer right now on what a purchase agreement looks like. But ultimately, what we believe it will happen is the developer will buy it in the name of the city of Athens, and so the city will need to receive the property. Now, ultimately, that cost will get passed on to the Welcome Home Ohio program in the new year. But for now, that's what I'm asking you to consider is receipt of that property.
Question? Member Clodfelder.
Thank you for explaining that. I'm curious, if we do officially receive the property, will we be liable for anything that might happen on it?
I suppose we would. I mean, once it's titled to the city, if something were to happen on a parcel, just as though, but every street in Athens is owned by the city of Athens, and so, insofar as we're liable for what happens on a street in Athens, I would contend would be the same thing with this parcel.
Okay.
Member Solvay.
So thank you. That was a very good explanation. I've been talking to Andrew Chicky about this for a while as part of the Affordable Housing Commission's, outreach and whatnot. And I've been very excited and hoping that it would come through. So this makes me very happy that this is now a reality, or hopefully it'll be a reality. So this is a good next step and part of a good program. So I hope everybody is happy with it.
Member McCary.
Thank you. Since you've clarified that this would be the city of Athens receiving the land as opposed to purchasing it, would you comment on when the receipt would likely happen?
Yeah, appreciate that question, Member McCary. I think in early 2026. when the sale is consummated ultimately, but, we need to have an ordinance in place in advance to basically saying once that title clears, that we can pair with the title and then subsequently go and record.
So there would be no cost to the city at all?
Well, so the $2 million for Welcome Home Ohio, if you think about it, right, so there's an existing parcel that the city owns, and then there's a parcel south of that we're looking to buy, or we're not, the developer's looking to buy, and that $40,000 in cost for him to buy that parcel will get added into the cost of building those homes. And so, if it would cost him, I'm going to do easy math here, okay? If it would cost him $200,000 per home to build and get all his expenses and profit included, and there's going to be 4 homes sitting on that parcel, then really the cost to the city when the city pays him for them will be $210,000. Now those numbers are not real, but they're not too far off the mark. But that's basically how ultimately we're going to pay for this out of that Welcome Home Ohio money that we receive through the program. But for now, the developer will buy it. The city just has to receive and take title to it, and council has to agree to the city taking title to property.
Thank you.
Member Swain.
What Mr. Stone's talking about are some formalities. I think what we really need to focus on here is what we're actually doing. We're participating in a state program that allows us to produce houses roughly in the neighborhood of $200,000 to $240,000, and then turn around and sell them to 8 homeowners with very severe deed restrictions in that these cannot become rental properties for approximately $40,000 to $50,000 less. I'll take you back to 1983. In 1983, Ohio had a program called State Issue 1, where a first-time home buyer could go to a local bank, get an interest rate that was 6.25, which was about 5% less than the going rate at the time, and for 5% down, get into a home. My wife and I bought our first home for $41,000 on Avon by putting $2,200 down. And for anyone who owns a home or anybody knows anything about home economics, once you're in the first time, you're in the game. And this gives us an opportunity to allow 8 individuals or families to buy very, very attractive, well-built homes far below market price, and to have instant equity. So yeah, there's these little technicalities and things, but in the long run, I think what we need to focus on is what we're doing is putting affordable housing, attractive affordable housing in a community setting in a well-established neighborhood.
Member Wood.
Yeah, the program sounds awesome, and I'm glad we're participating in it. Do you expect any pushback? If I'm right about the location, it's not the parking lot there where the Red Cross is. It's behind it on the thing. Any expectations of pushback or concerns about floodplain, flooding, or those sort of things?
Sure. Well, thank you, Member Wood. I've not done anything in the 23 years that I've worked in the city of Athens that haven't been controversial. We can find controversy in, like give people ice cream and sea cold, it's the wrong flavor. So I anticipate that invariably there will be some sort of controversy. I think the thing that's important is that, we will follow flood control and our flood damage prevention ordinance to make sure that they're built 1 foot above the 100-year floodplain, whether it's through a crawl space or through fill or through some combination of the both. Number one. Number two, I think that this is not a LIHTC project. This is not a HUD project. This is not those people, right? That we so often have people come before this body or other bodies and complain about being near them. These are people who are going to own their own home and care about it and live in the house that they own. And so, they just might not make as much money as the people next door, but by and large, it'll really be for good neighbors. And so I'd like to think it won't be controversial, but I'm not naive to think that there won't be something that comes out when we start building something.
Member McCary.
Thanks. If we do need to fill in the land to make these houses taller for the floodplain, is that cost going to be for the city to absorb?
Thank you, Member McCary. I think it's just a matter of how high you build a crawl space, right? Now, we do want to make sure that at least a couple of these units are single-story plans because of some of the accessibility concerns, and we've talked about wanting to do that. If we're involved in a housing project, we want to build single-story homes. So in those instances, there may need to be some fill in order to get the proper grade to get inside. You can't just build it up and put steps to go up to it. But, by and large, it's not a massive cost associated with doing this. We have brought some waste dirt from the Kenny Drive project into the area that is stockpiling just as to be available for the developer to use, just to keep those costs less. But yes, to answer your question shortly, is there will be some cost associated with it, but I don't anticipate it will be massive.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the committee? I have one. Are there any other parcels that the city owns that would be applicable to this type of program?
Sure. We did look on Alexander. There are 2 parcels on Alexander north of the house that was built by Habitat for Humanity a couple of years ago, that the city owns currently, and then used one of them and donated it through that program. There's a gas line easement through those 2 remaining parcels, which make it, and they're really funny shaped, and they're on a hillside. It makes it really hard to build on, and you can't quite get the scale that we want. We really think this is a good first start, and then as we get the program rolling, maybe we could fit one up in that location. Really, the next area that we're looking at is with the new community authority and the Ridges, that we think the Welcome Home program can work in conjunction with that once that really picks up and runs.
Thank you. Any comments from the audience? Auditor, do you have any comments?
Can I ask one more question?
Oh, sure.
Since I'm hoping that you will have a chance to work with Habitat for some of this to keep the cost down. I think I've gotten to know them pretty well now, and I feel like they do great work. So that seems like a good collaboration if you can make that work.
Sure. Thank you, Member Spell does. Ken does great work, and he's regionally known for the stuff that he does, and he came in and spoke to us the other day about options, and certainly that's something that we want to explore in the future. I never in a million years thought I would be in the housing business. When I started with the city, housing was something that just happened. Right, and frankly, it created problems for us because we had to look at infrastructure and figure out how. But it just happened on its own because the market was there to support it, and conditions right now are not such that houses are getting built in Athens to be able to accommodate home buyers, and so. It's simply cost prohibitive both for builders and for the buyers, and there's a shortage of land, and there's quite a few complicated reasons for that. Interest rates, we can go on and on about it, but I really think that it's taking local government to get involved in this space, and it detracts our attention from other things. But that's why it's important to have partners like Habitat for Humanity and partners like community building partners with Joe Recchi and to be able to try to make this stuff go. So we're certainly not experts in it, but we'll do our best to try to meet this need.
I'm sorry, I have a follow-up question.
Right ahead, it's committee night. Talk all you want.
So the university has made it very clear that they are concerned about housing too. So have they provided or reached out to you, or have you collaborated on possible ideas that the city and the university could work on together?
Yeah. Thank you, Member Spellness. We've kept them informed about our Welcome Home Ohio program, but it's relatively small, and it's something that we think we can do kind of on our own as kind of a parallel effort to greater university efforts. I think the university really would like to see the Ridges go, and the new community authority work, and certainly with 2 board members as part of the new community authority board, they're keenly interested in making that as the donator of that property. So that's pretty much where we've been working with them. I don't know beyond that initiative specifically that we have a specific example of it, but I know that it's something that they're interested in supporting.
Okay, thank you.
Well, if there's no further comments or speakers, we'll conclude our committee of the whole, and our Finance and Personnel Committee, and that will conclude committees in general. We'll move on to a special session. This being special, we have special rules, but we have to establish a quorum, and I believe we have 6 members present, so we have a quorum. We have an ordinance for first reading, ordinance 138-25, an ordinance, let's see. Yes, I'll read it, then I'll ask for a suspension. An ordinance amending the 2025 appropriation ordinance 115-24 and authorizing interfund transfers introduced by Councilmember Reisner, which is me. First of all, I would like to make a motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
And the reason for the suspension is time is running out. The money needs to be transferred very, very soon, like tomorrow. So that is the reason why we need to do this. So if there's any discussion about suspending the rules, then I will call for a vote. All those in favor of suspending the rules signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. The rules have been suspended. Now I will make a motion that we adopt 138-25.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for adopting 138-25. Is there any discussion from the administration? Would you care to?
Nope, just in support.
Auditor? Any more please? Anything? No?
One last, please.
All right.
Yeah.
That's very effective. Thank you.
Yes,
I'm moved. Audience? Council, discussion on this issue. I think the auditor did a pretty good job of explaining where the money's coming from and where it's going and why we need to do it. Essentially, it's coming from proprietary funds being transferred to the general fund. And if the proprietary funds can take the hit, then I see no reason why not to do it. That being said, there's no further discussion. Member Clodfelder, yes?
I agree with what you just said, Member Reisner, and I would also like to compliment the auditor and the administration for taking this money from the proprietary funds in a way that seems fair based on the number of their employees that benefit from the program. It sounds like this was done really thoughtfully and carefully, and we appreciate that.
Hear, hear. Very well, I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor of adopting 138-25 signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. 138-25 has been passed. That leads to step number 6. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Seconded.
I think there's 2 seconds right here. Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. We are adjourned at 1:58.